Good evening,
Good
everybody.
evening. Good evening.
Can anyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
So, uh, we just be giving a brief, you know, introduction. And first thing I want to appreciate everyone.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Can anyone hear me?
Yes, I
Yes,
can
we
hear
are.
you. We can hear you.
Okay, thank you so much for confirming that. We are so excited to have you all in today's interactive session, and we believe that by the end of this session, you will not just love systematic review and meta-analysis, but you want to do more of it. Okay, so I want to welcome everyone to, I would call it demystifying systematic review and meta-analysis, because the personnel we have right on this call are not just novice researchers, but people that have taken their times over the years to do research. They've given their life to research. So I would call it demystifying systematic reviews and meta-analysis. So my name is Rejoicing Innocent. I'm a pharmacist and also the chief systematic reviewer at Centicini Team Limited. And I'm so excited to be your host for today's evidence-based, I would not call it research, but evidence-based conversation, right? So whether you're a novice researcher or trying to we actually dip your toes into research, or you're an experienced expert and you're looking for how to refine or hone your skills, we are excited to have you on board. We're excited to have you on board. So our time is fast spent. I will just quickly introduce Centicini Research Team, our missions, our vision. It's a very interesting place and it's a very interesting. So welcome once again. So I said I want to introduce our mission, our team's mission and our vision in just 2 to 3 minutes. I will just introduce us. So Centenary Research, we're into research, AI, training, and consult. Am I still being heard?
Go ahead, we are listening.
Hello. Okay,
No, hi.
so at Centenary Team Limited, our vision is clear. We are into quality research and seamless collaboration, and we want to empower Africa's researchers over Africa with evidence-based skills, advanced AI tools, and collaboration before 2030. We Our top priority is not just research but quality research. Just like I mentioned, we are sorry for the break in transmission, please. Just like I mentioned, we specialize in evidence-based systematic review and meta-analysis that synthesize existing research to support clinical decision making, policy development, and academic excellence across Africa. We are so interested in combining both skilled and trusted team with practical innovation. So if you are looking out for a place to consult, you are looking out for a place that you want to consult, maybe you are experiencing any academic challenge, you are doing your PhD and you don't know how to go about your systematic review, you don't know how to go about your research, we are the best place. We have quality and refined researchers that not don't just have, and we are not just saying it with mouth, but we have evidence. So today we I want to dive straight into introducing systematic review and meta analysis. You might not be seeing any slide, but I will just keep it very brief. At high level, I would say that systematic review is a rigorous method of synthesizing existing studies. It could be qualitative, it could be quantitative, but the goal is to identify, you want to appraise, you want to combine evidence from several sources. It's just like you want to build a comprehensive map of what is already known. You have a topic in mind, and you have a topic in mind, right? And you want to get evidence from several papers. But it's not just you picking papers here and there. There is a guideline to follow. There are just like PRISMA and the likes. So for this session, our goal is straightforward, yet we want to have a very transformative impact because we want to mystify the concept of systematic review and meta-analysis. We want to break them down into digestible steps, not just um, not just breaking them down. We also want to share tips with you to get you going and strategies for effective collaboration. Maybe you want to publish a lot of papers, you want to publish a lot of systematic reviews this year. We want to provide you with a map, we want to provide you with a guide on how you can effectively collaborate and get your publications going. So I will quickly want to introduce our first speaker. I quickly want to introduce our first speaker, Dr. Precious Ayakora. She she's a dedicated public health practitioner and the director at Centicini Research Team or Centicini Team Limited. And also with her expertise, she has published a lot of papers. I can tell you for a fact. She's good with evidence synthesis, she's good with research design and both quantitative and quantitative research methodology. Here at Sensini Research Team, she also plays a very important role in advancing our mission in for high quality evidence based research. So, Ms. Precious, I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you very much for rejoicing for that introduction.
You're welcome.
I didn't know I was going to be the first speaker. Well, let's do it. Welcome everybody to this session of like Justin said, demystifying systematic reviews and meta-analysis. Okay, today we are going to be talking about collaboration, publication, and impactful application. I'm going to share my screen so that we dive right into it. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So welcome everybody. Before we proceed, I just want to already define systematic review. Yeah, but I just want us to. I want to give us a clear focus, like a clear real world example of what research is all about. Okay, so first of all, our topic tonight is going to be collaboration, about publications, and about impactful application. How do we carry out a research? First of all, a researcher can come into a community. Yeah. Let me use, for instance, from rejoicing. Last year, I think there was a cholera outbreak in Lagos or in Nigeria. And then she decides that she comes to their community and find out that there is a cholera outbreak. Yeah. As a researcher, she would want to know the prevalence? How many people are affected? Or what is causing this cholera? Or is there anything we can do to control this cholera outbreak? All these things I'm saying are research questions that a normal researcher can decide to research about. Okay, now, as a researcher that she is, she might decide to start with knowing how many people are already affected. That's the prevalence, yeah? How does she collaborate to carry out this research? Because research is not a one-man thing. Note that research is not a one-man thing. Before you can carry out an impactful research, original research, you must have to work hand in hand with people. Okay? Now, she now decided to find out how many people are already affected before she can proceed to find out the cause of, or where the source of the contamination or outbreak is coming from, yeah? Now she wants to find out the prevalence of this cholera outbreak in Lagos State. What she does is she, first of all, as a person, yeah, she might not have access to every location in Lagos. She might not, in Lagos, Nigeria, she might not have access to every location. So she might need to collaborate with people that are in other locations. Okay, so be able to gather findings from different locations, maybe different hospitals, people that are already admitted in hospitals, people that are already down with this cholera. Okay, she now collects. People now help people that she's collaborating with. Now have to go to now people in Lekki, people in Lagos Island can now gather papers, gather findings from clinics, from hospitals, people that are already admitted. That's the prevalence. Yeah. Now she gathers it together, the data together. She has to find a statistician that will analyze it. That's still collaboration. She needs a statistician that will carry out this, the analysis, combining all the evidence together to be able to get a finding. Now, when she has successfully analyzed this paper, she can able to, at the end of the day, she will get a finding, or they are able to find out that in Lagos State, about 200,000 people were affected with COVID-19, with cholera as of 2025. Okay. Now, the next step is for her to publish. Please, Mary Rose, can you mute yours? Okay, thank you. So the next step is for her to publish, right? So once she's done with the collaboration, and everybody is already involved, people that are helped to collect the data, people that are helped to analyze, and even the community members, the hospitals that gave the permission, to collect those data, or the community leaders that you search for, that you get the permission so you can get to their communities. These are part of people that you are collaborating with. That's why I said initially that research is not a one-man thing. Now, after this collaboration, the next step is publication. She now decides to choose a good journal that is in line with that cholera outbreak, with that cholera prevalence that she has already analyzed. Now, after choosing the journal, she submits the manuscript or the findings to the journal, and they now publish it. The research is made available online, so everybody can have access to it. Everybody is available online. Anybody that comes across it can be able to know that this is the number of people that suffered the cholera as of 2025. It's online, it's published. Anybody can have access to this data. Okay. she can also take a step forward to meet stakeholders, people that are in charge of policies in Lagos State, maybe probably the people in government house that make the policies and all that. She can take the step to give them this. I carried out this research in Lagos, and this is what I found from this research. And that finding can now be able to inform interventions. The Lagos State government can now use that finding to be able to make impact, to be able to now look for ways to be able to contain this outbreak. So that is when you now get that impactful application, because research is not complete if there is no impact. We don't carry out research so that you can have the finding and that's all. That's not where it ends. It has to make impact before it is reasonable, before it is meaningful. Now, that published research that she published and she submitted to stakeholders, they can use that finding to be able to change. Even physicians, nurses can use it to be able to advise their patients. Oh, this is so and so. People should stay away from this water, or stay away from using borehole, or do this and that. It can inform practice. It can inform policy. Okay, so that's for original research. Now, for systematic review, how do we collaborate in systematic review? We collaborate in systematic reviews because systematic reviews follow a structured process. It follows you must follow that guideline. You don't carry out research systematic reviews anyhow. You must follow a specific stated guideline. Now, if you want to collaborate in systematic reviews, see, in systematic reviews is a must. It's compulsory that you must collaborate. Okay, because there are stages in systematic review that require you to need second opinion, third opinion. Something like the search strategy, you might need a second opinion when you're selecting studies that you think meet your inclusion criteria. It's a limitation if only one person got if only one person got the studies that we are used for to synthesize a finding. Is a limitation. So it can introduce bias. Okay, so you need like 2 or 3 people to be able to search for evidence and ensure that the evidence that we are able to that we identified met the inclusion criteria. You even need second opinion while extracting data. Okay, you need second opinion. You can get as much as third opinion. So while extracting data, even doing critical appraisal, you need second opinion in critical appraisal. So that is where the collaboration happens. You collaborate to search for papers, systematic reviews. You collaborate to screen papers. You collaborate to critically appraise data. You collaborate to extract data. And we can still collaborate to synthesize data. Do you understand? Now, this is where how collaboration happens in systematic review. We need to gather. You need people, other researchers, so you can carry out a rigorous systematic review. Now, the publication part. Let me assume that a systematic review was, in Lagos State, we have different local governments. Yeah, a systematic review was carried out in let me say in a primary school in Ojota. I'm giving you areas. Another systematic review was carried out in University of Lagos. So now I'm talking about original research. Sorry, all these places are within Lagos, and you want to carry out a systematic review on this prevalence to know. I'm still on this cholera to know the prevalence of cholera outbreak in Lagos State. And then there are already papers online in specific areas within Lagos State. What you do is you gather these papers together, synthesize them together as Lagos State, then present the findings and publish it. Okay, because you've been able to collect different evidence, different data within Lagos on cholera outbreak, you are able to combine them and synthesize them and get a specific finding that is publishable, which you can publish online. And that same finding that you found can still inform policies, it informs practice, and can still inform future research, because it is one research that bets another research. As we carried out prevalence of cholera outbreak, another person might want to carry out a research that focus on challenges in uptake of vaccine, if there's a vaccine for cholera, yeah, that person can decide to carry out a research on risk factors for cholera. It's risk that predisposes one to cholera. So these are other research that people can derive knowledge from your own research. That your research can motivate them to carry out other research around that your cholera outbreak. So that's that for and then impactful application is when that your finding has now been able to impact the population that is meant to serve. Okay, that population that research was carried out, it can only be impactful if your finding can impact that population. So let's go into the main slides. Let's run it down quickly. Okay, so this is collaboration. What collaboration does, it strengthens our research quality. It encourages multidisciplinary partnership, like I said before. So you can community leaders can be involved. A statistician can be involved. Clinicians can also be involved in this collaboration. So it encourages multidisciplinary partnership. Another thing is that you get to share expertise. You get to share data with people that you are collaborating with, and you get to share the resources with them too. And that one is that it drives innovation and problem solving. Like I said before, the main reason why we are carrying out research is to solve problems, is to be able to positively impact that population that the data was collected from. All right, so collaboration. Through collaborations, every researcher can have access to resources from the collaborative group. It can also reduce duplication of efforts and generate innovative solutions to complex problems. So what collaboration does is that it strengthens credibility and increases the relevance of our research outcome. It makes our work very relevant to people, the population that it was carried out on. So here is publication. What it does for publication, we disseminate our findings widely, because once it's online, anybody can have access to it globally. Anybody can have access to that research paper. It enables peer review. Peer review, if you've published before, you know about peer review. It's just like when you carry out a research and you have someone that you will show that research to, someone that will guide you. Peer review is like when you have a supervisor that supervises that your research, that will tell you, okay, change this. Okay, this population is inadequate, you have to change it. Yeah, that kind of thing. That's how it happens with journals. But then it's a process of publication, whereby you have about 2, 3, 4, 5 to 10 supervisors that will go through your work and give you corrections that you will go and correct and give them back the revised version. So it will keep going on like that, the peer review, until they all of them feel that paper is perfect for publication and validates it. Okay, so that's how peer review works. Then what publication does is that it increases visibility. Your finding can not only be for people in Lagos, it can also be for people in Owerri, people in Abuja. They can also use that find. It can also benefit them, can gain knowledge from that your finding. And the last is that it supports evidence-based decision making. Okay, like I said before, when you get our finding, you can take it to stakeholders. They will be the one to decide, make decision, whether to act on that finding. That's evidence-based decision making. They have to make a decision based on that your evidence. When you hear evidence, please know that it's a finding. That's evidence. Your research is your evidence. So it supports evidence-based decision making. Then the last is that for impactful application, it translates research into policy and practice. I said this before. It informs programs and interventions, and then it addresses real world challenges. This is the most important thing. It's the most important thing why we carry out research, so that there can be real world solutions. The last is that it creates measurable social impact. When we now have this, when the issues are addressed, yeah, or maybe when the outbreak has been contained, we can be able to find out, oh, it's from this data that we're able to generate this finding. Oh, we're able to measure that these interventions was able to reduce this outbreak, that kind of thing. So we're able to you can measure the impact. Probably at the end of the day, you can be able to find out that after this outbreak, after this intervention, the prevalence now reduced from 200,000 to 20,000. That's a massive impact. Okay, so that's what impactful application of research does. Now, in conclusion, collaboration improves research quality. Publishing ensures knowledge sharing. Having everyone look at your finding, look at your data, look at your evidence. Application transforms evidence into change. True impact comes from integrating all three. You can't separate one from another. So the three of them must work hand in glove to be able to generate an impactful research. So that's all for today. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you so much, Dr. Precious. I don't know if you can appreciate her with reactions in the comment section. She has done well. She has done well. Collaboration is so important in research, because if you don't collaborate, how do you want to get the knowledge from another person? So we really appreciate you for that session. It was very insightful. Research is systematic review is beyond just doing it all by yourself. Please, let's appreciate her. Let's appreciate her. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Miss Precious, Dr. Precious Ayakora. We appreciate you. So the next person I would want to briefly introduce, it's my pleasure, Dr. David Innocent. He's a visionary founder of Centicini Limited and also a co-founder of Cent Analytics. That's the data analytics part, not just data analytics, but the analytical part of Centicini team. And with over 5 years as a dedicated public health professional, he excels in evidence-informed health programs in low resource settings, and also he has led several multidisciplinary research teams and delivered large-scale systematic reviews that has translated to actionable policies. So we really appreciate for your effort in Centicini as the team lead. He's a master in evidence synthesis, I tell you, both program design, data informed decision making. So we want to invite you. Thank you. You have the floor now, sir.
Thank you very much.
Let's
I don't know.
appreciate him.
Thank you. I think I know of that. That was true. That's true. Thank you so much. I think somebody had her hands raised. I don't know. Can you guys hear me very well?
Yes, sir. Let's take questions at the end of the session.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Or
Okay.
I think that
Okay.
would be better.
Fine. That's okay. Okay. All right. So, thank you, my precious, for that presentation. I think I still got some things from here, and collaboration is something that is very relevant, particularly what we are doing and to do. Uh, I really so from my part to be sharing my screen. I'm going to be talking about something uh, something spectacular. I'm going to be talking about the PRISMA flow diagram. That's what I'm going to be talking about today. And remember, this is a workshop on systematic review. This is a workshop on systematic review, and it's not going to be complete if we don't talk about the PRISMA and the several domains that we basically use in executing systematic review. So please, for fact you're not hearing me, you just call my attention. I just want to be sure that you guys are hearing me. So yes, now just like our moderator, Pam Richardson did introduce, at Centicini team, what we do is we provide evidence-based research, and I want to put it to you that this is just 24th, and we've submitted over 17 papers already. We believe in output. We don't really believe in so much protocols. We believe in results. And one of the things I want to let you know is that if you want to get results from as a researcher, you need to be focused on the outcome. Okay. Right now you're in this meeting today. You need to make sure that you look at what the authorities that are being explained and see how you can put yourself in. Do you understand? That is the thing. And if we are 2, 3, 4 collaborating, it's much more better for you to record more success than you have 100 well-organized people who are not doing anything,
Sorry,
who are just occupying
please, your voice is faint.
Okay, my voice is faint. Okay, all right. Let me disconnect my headset. Sorry, I think. Second, please.
Okay, I want to be sure I'm being heard. Please, nobody's responding.
It's better now.
Yes, sir. We can hear you now.
Okay, you guys
Can hear you now. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
can hear you
right.
now.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Yeah. All right, so I'm sure you can still see my screen. So, like I said, for you to conduct a systematic review, you need to be very productive in collaboration, because that's really going to give you a lot of aid in executing that. And now there's something we're going to talk about now, because our director of research talked about collaboration, and then for we to collaborate on a systematic review, it's very much important for us to understand the PRISMA flow diagram. The PRISMA flow diagram is something that is paramount to understand. Now, I'm going to explain how this PRISMA flow diagram works. Then, in a nutshell, I'll also show us an example of what it is. Now, whenever you want to start a systematic review article, the first thing you state in your methodology is that you tell the reviewers how you conducted your systematic review. And usually, the first line of that manuscript is usually what approach did you follow. Now, I'm just going to show us what that means now. I'm just going to open a random publication, a systematic review publication that we had on prevalence and meta-analysis of prostate cancer. So this is an article that we published in December. I think so. That's December. That's last month. And I'm just going to open the methodology just for you to see and understand what I'm trying to talk about. Now, if you look at the methodology of this article here, you see that the very first line, right? In the very first line, we usually state that this systematic review used the preferred reporting item. So this is a standard methodology for that your systematic review ought to follow. Okay, if I open another publication, another systematic review publication as well, you're still going to see the same thing where we clearly stated what the approach that our systematic review follows. And the reason why is that even if you're not a high tier academic and you mention this, it means that the reviewers, people who are going to be going through your systematic review evidence, will be judging you based on the domains of this particular the domains of this particular checklist. And that is how it is. Now let's go back to our slide quickly so that we can actually understand what the PRISMA checklist is all about. Now, when we talk about PRISMA means preferred reporting items for systematic reviews and meta-analysis, developed back in 2009 or thereabout. And it was a standardized checklist that a lot of researchers came together and agreed that this is how we are going to be reporting our evidence, right? Systematic reviews has, I think, started back in the 80s or thereabout, following, which I wouldn't really go much into the history. But now, when you carefully look at this definition, you see that it's what many journals require, right? And if you're doing a systematic review, you must have the visual flow chart inside of it. I'm also going to demonstrate with this our publication, okay? And I'm going to use it to demonstrate. This is one of our recent publications. And now, what are the domains of this PRISMA that we are talking about? We are saying there is a preferred reporting items that we use in addressing systematic reviews and meta-analysis. So what is the domain? What is inside of it? Now, a PRISMA flow diagram is a visual tool, right, that maps out the number of records studied, identified, included, and excluded during a systematic review. Now, what our pharmacists here explain systematic reviews to be is that when you want to do a systematic review, we come together, we select studies, right? We raise a research question, just like our director said. She said we raise a research question. Then when we raise that research question, we do what? We look for primary studies, or we look for evidence, not necessarily primary studies, because there can be something like an umbrella review where a systematic review becomes an included study. But the idea is that we look for primary evidence now, or we look for studies or kind of reports that we will use to generalize on that question. You can say, what's the prevalence of HIV in Nigeria? Or what is the social factors of correlates of abortion in Africa? To address that question, we will not go around the whole Africa collecting sample size or people asking them questions about abortion. How we do that is that we need to now go and look at private papers that were published in Africa. Probably somebody published correlates of abortion in Gabon, somebody published in Sierra Leone, somebody published in Namibia, somebody published in Ghana, somebody published in Tunisia. So essentially, what we do now is that we pull this evidence together, and then when we now quantify them, either narratively or quantitatively, we can now address that in Africa, this is what the correlates of abortion is, based on the fact that we've now extrapolated evidence from individual studies. Basically, what this means is that there is always a process that your PRISMA flow diagram reports. Okay, your PRISMA flow diagram contains some certain domains, but now there's something we call the PRISMA checklist and the PRISMA flow diagram. Now I'm going to be explaining what the PRISMA checklist is. Now, when we say we follow the PRISMA for our study, what we are usually referring to is the checklist, and the checklist contains 21 items. And let me assume I just started research today. I'm a newbie to research, and I want to do a systematic review. What's the first thing I'll search online? I'll search what is a suitable checklist for me to use as a guidance. You say as a guidance in performing my systematic review. Now let's see what is going to pop out on Google. Okay, now beautiful. So that means we have JBI checklist, and we'll go down. We have another guidance. We have a lot of articles and all of that. Now we have the preferred reporting items. Now what we are talking about now is this particular one that contains 27 items. So it means that for you to do your systematic reviews in your article, there are 27 domains that must be in that article. Now you see that we saw for Cochrane. Cochrane has their own guideline. You might decide not to use PRISMA. You might decide to use JPI and all of that. Now, since we're talking about PRISMA, let us look at what the PRISMA checklist is. We'll now say, okay, let us see the PRISMA checklist PDF that will guide us for our study. Okay. Now I'm going to click here, and automatically to ask me to download which one. I'm a newbie. Remember, I just started. I'm not going to go for the expanded one. Let me just go for the normal one. Let us see. Automatically beautiful. It brings me to the what? Checklist. So it means that there are actually some relevant things that will be in my systematic review. I will need to have a topic, right? Then after I have my topic, I will need to have an abstract. Of course, when you're doing an article, you have to have an abstract. Take example, now when you look at our publication here, this is our recent publication, you see that we have what? We have an abstract. We need to have a rationale. We need to have an objective. So all these things are the items that are contained. You need to have eligibility criteria, search strategy, selection, down to what? Other items that you state in your article, right? Before we submit our paper, we usually register it in what we call Prospero. So all these things are things that will be contained in your what? In your systematic review what? Article. These are the domains that you need to have your systematic review article. So it means that a baby, a child of 19 years, a child of 12 can follow these guidelines, report it, do the research. Then when the reviewers gets the topic, the reviewer will not start saying, oh, do you really have experience in doing research? All the reviewer will do is to put this checklist on the left hand, put your manuscript on the right hand, and be cross-checking all these things to make sure that what you have you have addressed all the necessary items required for you to do what? For you to do your review. So it is a very simple thing, guys. It is very, very easy. All you need to do is what? Repetition will keep you going. Continue practicing, continue submitting, continue getting rejections, and then from time to time, you will really what? You will align. Now let's go back to our slide so we don't miss out on the point. Now the question now is what is now PRISMA flow diagram? I just talked about PRISMA flow, PRISMA checklist, and now I'm talking about PRISMA flow chart. Where this one come from? And now I'm going to explain what it is, right? If you paid attention to what our director said, she mentioned that we do what? We search for studies when we raise questions. Now, let me now show you, because I love to show by examples. Now, let me now open that article. Let me open our article again. Okay. Or not here. Now you're going to see something now from this article now, right now. Let's see. Now you're going to see that we have search criteria. Remember, this is where we registered it on Prospero. We register our manuscript before we start. Now this is all the evidence about the search strategy and selection criteria. And then we're going to go down. These are our risk of bias, blah, 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 our data extraction and all of that. But now, this is what we call the flow chart. It's usually presented at the beginning of your systematic review result. So what is the flow chart? Now the flow chart tells us how we selected studies. Because usually when you want to start a review, when you want to start a systematic review, the first thing you usually do is to do what? You will first of all go to several databases, right? You go to several databases. Then when you go to several databases, let's say for example, you go to a database like Shinal, you go to a database like Cochrane Central. Okay, I'm trying to just take that out. Then you go to a database like Google Scholar, go to a database like Medline via Ovid, Medline, normal Medline. You can go to Shinal, you can go to Embase via Ovid. We will explain all those things maybe whenever we have a search strategy session. But the basic thing there is that the first thing we usually do now is like what? You will get all the studies. And now when you get them, they are all here. Studies identified across all the databases. So the total that we identified in this study was 855 studies. And we have tools that we call the Zotero. That we this is it. It's on my laptop here. This is Zotero. So we use it to collate all these references. And then we perform what we call deduplication. Now it's possible that when I go into Embase via Ovid, and after getting papers, when I emerge my search strategy there, I might be able to do what? It will now lead me to what? Me getting the same studies that I'll still see in what? Shinal. Studies I'll see in what? PubMed. Then at the end of the day, you see that I will not have duplicates. Now think about it this way. You're looking for a friend, right? And then the databases now are like universities, right? And let's take for example now, you're searching in this department, and then you're searching in another department for friends. And then you now get 900 friends. And you now see that one of your friends in this department also wrote her name in another class list in another department. In that situation now, that person now, she's going to be a duplicate because we have now found her from two different places. She went to go and write her name in another class, whereas I checked for her already from another class. So that's what we call duplicates. So we extract all the duplicates. Now after that, we perform what we call title and abstract screening. Let's say, for example, our research question now is, we are looking for prevalence of fair girls. And now from the title of this study, we are seeing dark girls in Ghana, this and that. Already, we don't need to screen it. Only from the title and abstract, we exclude it. So based on title and abstract screening, you see that what 562 studies already from citing the abstract, the title, we found that what they are not qualified. And you can do this with what we call what? Excel. Don't forget what our director said. Collaboration will make it easy. Where one person is checking it from the other paper, the other person is also checking it from the other paper, and at the end of the day, you guys will now resolve what we call conflict. Yes, thank you. We'll resolve what we call a conflict to say, okay, these studies are what? Not relevant. Now, after we are done with the title and abstract screening, which is usually our preliminary screening here, the next one is what we call the eligibility screening. And this eligibility screening is another name for it is what? Full text screening. Because when we've now said, okay, prevalence of fair girls in Nigeria, and now what we now need to do in the eligibility criteria now is now to check their character. We'll now start going into them. Okay, how did this person used to behave? We'll now open the paper because now we've judged it by title. It looks like 180 passed. Now let's now open inside the paper and see if it has the design that we stated in our inclusion criteria. Essentially, what we'll now do now is, okay, when we now start checking their character, oh, this one is from the north, this one is from the east, this one is from Gambia, this one is not from, this one doesn't have a good behavior, right? We'll now be recording the reasons for excluding them. Do you understand? Then at the end of the day, just see this thing as somebody that wants to get a spouse. These are all the stages you need to go through. At the end of the day, when you now record the reasons now, okay, we open this paper, it's not even addressing prostate cancer, but when we looked at the title, it was even related. Oh, we opened this paper, it's not even conducted in Nigeria. Oh, we opened this paper, it's not even published in English. There could be other reasons. Other reasons that something like study design is not in line. Maybe it's a qualitative study, whereas we are interested in quantitative studies for meta-analysis. Okay, so a systematic review is very, very simple to do. It's very simple to perform. Do you understand? Once you discipline yourself and go through the screening and all of that, you see that it is very simple to perform. You can raise 1 billion research questions and you publish as many papers as what possible. So once we are done with this, basically, once we are done with this particular part, which is what we call the exclusion based on the reasons, we will now have what we call what? Inclusion in review. Now, here, this part of it, sometimes if you're doing only a narrative synthesis or you're doing something like a qualitative systematic review, we might not really need this part. Do you understand? We might not really need this part of a meta-analysis. We might not really need it. Do you understand? But now you understand that it is possible for me to do a systematic review and then I'll have like 10 included studies in my review, then based on the quantitative pooling in my forest plot. Because if we go down in this article now, you see that when I performed this meta-analysis here, it was still the 6 studies that I used. You understand? Because I was looking at the prevalence of prostate cancer in Nigeria. But let's check another of our paper. Let's look at our umbilical cord care paper that was published almost same time now last year. Now, if we look at this paper that was led by our director, let me open the paper. Now you see that in this publication, let me open the PDF version. Now you see that in this particular publication, there's some certain key things we need to take note of. Let me show you. Now look at the PRISMA here now. You look at, if in this PRISMA flow chart now, we only have what? 11 studies included in review. There is no further funnel for a meta-analysis compared to what we have here. Okay, so I'm trying to touch this. Sorry. Okay, wait, hold on. All right. So now, if you look at this here, and also look at what was done here. Okay, this is the paper, right? Okay, I don't know if I'm sure. Now, if we take a look at these 2 papers here, you will see that this is 11, right? This is what? 6. But here now we have review and we have meta-analysis. So this will only apply when you're doing a meta-analysis. So it's possible for us to have 11 studies here and 9 here. So it means that maybe in our terms of our narrative synthesis, we can use the 11 to textualize. But then whenever we are pulling statistical evidence, we'll look for the ones that have, statistical estimates that can make it possible for us to assume what effect measures across the study. So that is essentially the reason why we have this. So this is what the PRISMA flow chart is all about. Whereas what we talked about earlier on, this is the what? PRISMA checklist. This is the PRISMA checklist that we use in reporting it. So when you take a look at the domains, if you carefully take a look at the domains of this particular checklist, you see that what? There is evidence for us to plug in our PRISMA flow chart. So all these are the steps, sequential steps you need to take. Now, sometimes if you're doing a qualitative study, there might be some of them here that you might not necessarily, engage in. Do you understand? But basically, the idea now is that if you have a systematic review conception or idea in your mind, you must make sure that you clearly tell the authors what you are going to be following. I'm sure we can hear me very, very clearly.
Yes, sir.
Yes, so we'll go back to our flow chart, and we have here our identification of studies where we find potential studies. I'm sure it's now looking very easy now. We've got our screening, we've got our eligibility, and we've got our inclusion criteria, essentially. And then this is just what the identification is. You see, I didn't even need to open the slide, and already I've made everybody understand what it's all about. So let's just have a beautiful view again on the slide. Basically on the slide here, you're going to see that we have identification, database is searched. It's very relevant to tell us where are you searching, okay? And then you've got your records. You know, you need to tell us some of the individual number of studies you've pulled from each of the databases for PubMed, Scopus, Webline, Medline, Ovid, Embase via Ovid, or normal Embase, okay? So those are actually very important for you to know when you're searching. And then some of the duplicates that you've got. And yeah, so essentially these are quite very paramount, you know, on your journey. Yeah, of course, it makes it very easy. Then you tell us about your duplicates. Who did you find in Medline that you found in Scopus, or probably who you found in Web of Science, and then probably you found the person on PubMed. So yes, this is the roadmap. Quite imperative for you to have in mind, because if you don't properly report this, then of course probably the journals are going to fling your paper away. So I could go on to show us other meta-analysis. I could show another meta-analysis of prevalence of antibiotic resistance. And yeah, so in this paper, I could still show you what it looks like. I can also show you some meta-analysis of intervention that we've published out there. So you could still see what I'm talking about. Now you see that here, we've got the meta-analysis, right? So after the review here, it's plunged further for us to have a meta-analysis. So 6, okay? So somebody might ask, why am I so in love with 6 studies? And why don't we do 300 studies? So that is what collaboration does. Once we've got a lot of people who are collaborating on the team, we've got a lot of papers that are quite in line, then of course it's going to make a lot of sense. So you see here now, you see some of the reasons when I checked her character in details. That's what I call the eligibility. I call it checking her character, okay? This part of it is to check her, some of her, check her at first sight. This is what we call love at first sight, a systematic review. That's what we call record screening. We call it love at first sight. So at love at first sight, if there is no love, you automatically throw it out. But this is what we now call the deep wife material check here, where we now go in total into the paper to be sure that, first of all the items we've put in our data extraction, we definitely have to get it. And basically, we are able to extract relevant outcomes that are quite nice and form that criteria for us to perform that music. And you can also continue to look at the paper. There are other domains which we might not really be talking about, but at Centicini, our vision is very simple. We want to make sure that each and every one of you gets hands-on on research. You know how to perform evidence-based research and publish insights. Okay, so if you want to set a target this year, I think a good target is I want to publish 100 papers on Q1 journals. It's possible. So it means that you have to submit 200 papers. And that is possible because when you set your target very high, you're definitely going to publish as many papers. So I'm going to show you this again from another paper as well that we published. This is something on sustainability. Okay, sustainability. And you're just going to look at this paper. This paper was published last year. And these were based on efforts from last 2 years. So you see it. This is a paper we published from Christ Lab. And if you look at this part as well, you still see the same thing there, okay? Yeah, the PRISMA might change, but it still remains the same, okay? So this is just what it is. So you've got your identification of studies, you've got your PRISMA, you've got the databases, then the duplicates, then down to... Then also, there's also another thing that we might also have to note during our study selection, our study, sorry, not our study, during our identification is that papers must not always be identified through databases. Do you understand? Sometimes we can do a reference list check. So basically, when we do a reference list check, when we check on the reference list of potential papers, we can actually find some papers that are relevant. Do you understand? And then we can now add them. Well, let me take, for example, now, I could still want to open 2 or 3 more papers, but I think these ones are so much enough. Now, let's take a result now that I want to push this paper, right? What I might do now is when I want to work on this now to check papers on the prevalence of antibiotic resistance, the first thing I might do now is I might just go online, Google, maybe where we usually do what we call initial search. We call this initial search. Maybe I could just do antibiotic and prevalence and Nigeria, for example, right? Then probably I just see this paper, right? This is just a random paper, and this is a primary paper. What do you mean by this paper being primary? It's not desk-based. This is a paper that was conducted somewhere. Do you understand? This paper was conducted somewhere physically. Participants took data and all of that. Now, what do I mean by, what point am I trying to buttress in the identification here? I'm trying to make a point here now with that paper. Now, identification of potential studies can also be done through references. Now, when I'm done looking at this study, probably I want to add it. This is a very massive paper because it has 95 citations. I can now carefully go through the reference list of this paper and be checking if I can find anyone that is related. Because sometimes, when researchers are working, they are adding papers, right? And they are citing some papers, which some of those papers could be of massive benefit to me. And what it means is that we can now take those papers and now add it as what? Add it as that's studies that are gotten from reference list or maybe doing retrieval. That's why you look at this table and this is how this table is looking. Do you understand? And also we can do something like an updated search. So all these things are just what you need to see on your Prisma. All these things are the same. If you decide to use this other one, this other table, you see it's all published, same place. Do you understand? So the idea now is just for you to do what? It's just for you to write a paper that will do what? That is definitely going to get a significant what? Impact and publication. So I'm just going to round up because I don't want to take so much time. And yeah, so this is what it is here. So screening, I said it already, it's title and abstract in that first box where we check the abstract. If there are things that we see in the abstract, sorry, on the title or the abstract that are not relevant, we don't need to go further to full text. So we can start excluding it immediately. And then we can now look at the excluded records, make our reason and all of that. So we're going to share these slides on our community and for each and every one of us to get access to it. And also, if you look at the eligibility here, it's just something I said where we go into the full text. Okay. Yeah, so we basically check the full text of the articles, and then when we check the full text, we can actually now know what are the reasons for exclusion of papers, and what could be the reason. It could be incorrect population, it could be irrelevant outcomes, it could be no full text available. All these things are very important for you to note when you're starting your systematic review, because it gives you what? It makes your review process transparent. Remember that the idea behind the systematic review getting published, you can be a PhD student and you're looking for the publication and all of that, is that if you do a systematic review, it has to be reproducible. So what do we mean by reproducible? It means that when I pick up your systematic review and go through the same process, I definitely should come up with the same results. So this is basically where we talk about our inclusion, what are the final count, the number of studies that ultimately met all the inclusion criteria. Then we indicate studies that are used for qualitative synthesis. Then what some of the journal expectations and all of that. So there could be other reasons for you to have that. So what are some of the common beginner mistakes a lot of people make? Sometimes is inconsistent numbers. There have been sometimes probably we sent our Prisma and mistakenly when we are calculating it, it didn't really match. Let's take, for example, now, in this paper now, exactly one of the reviewers' comments we got is that I mistakenly wrote 13 here, 13. So when they now did all the maths, it was not giving 6. So it was now a mistake. Okay, I have to now go through my Excel sheet, identify it, and then properly go through that. Okay, so it could be a mistake anybody can make. And so when there is inconsistent numbers, when you're numbering it or when you're recording it, it can actually flaw the total number at the bottom. So just look at it as mathematics. It must be complete. If you work in a shop and your boss is there, all the goods must be complete when they're adding it. So that's just basically what it is. Now, another thing here now, it could be missing reasons. Every exclusion must have a reason. There is nothing like no reason. There needs to be a clear reason. Why did you exclude it? Because remember that the idea is that it has to be reproducible. Something somebody will go through and do it and get the same result. So it means that when we see those reasons, we need to go through it and also arrive at the same reason if it's done using the gold standard. So that's just what it is basically. So also there could be a PRISMA mismatch, okay? And probably it's not really aligning perfectly with your methodological section. Maybe in your methodology, you're saying that you will use, there's another tool that we call there's another tool we use in nursing and reporting all of this. Probably you state that that's what you're going to use, then you're not using PRISMA. So you need to make sure that your method aligns with your results. That's one of the things mistakes most beginners make. And even sometimes experts. But I don't believe an expert should make that. So how do you report your PRISMA accurately? First of all, there needs to be a methodology alignment. That's your methods alignment. Your method sessions should detail the search strategy. Now, if you look at this PRISMA flowchart here, you see that we talked about the databases. So it means that 4 databases, right? It means that we already talked about it in our methodology. So it's not like something we just cooked up here. Now, let's look at this paper by Anyakora et al. Now, in this paper by Anyakora et al, we stated the clear records that we chose, and this is what's still in our methods. So basically, what this means is that when you go to your methodology, it needs to align. There needs to be a fit. Your inclusion criteria, if you said you exclude dogs or animal studies, right? What it implies, the implication means that what, for example, in this study, I've opened so many things. So it means that the reason why these authors, yes, we said in this our paper that study is not addressing umbilical cord care practice. The reason why we are putting it here is because already in the inclusion criteria, when you scroll up, right, we already said it here that we're not going to include papers that are not addressing newborns or whatever, umbilical cord that is outside of newborns. So everything is aligning. There is nothing like we were saying here that is not there. If not, it will not be published, right? And you know that the essence for systematic review is that at the end of the day, we can use it to perform evidence, right? So here we say study is not conducted in Nigeria. It means that already it has been what? It has already been said in our methodology that anything not in Nigeria is not going to be added. So all these things are just, we didn't just fabricate all these reasons here. All these reasons still align with our methods section. So that is just that, and as well as our selection process where we stated that. So we need to make sure our databases are clear, the dates that we're going to use, which date, is this 2010 or not? Now let's look at this study here now. It said here, study is not conducted any other 2010. So it means that there is clarity on the date. We're not putting studies that are in antiquity. What do I mean by studies in antiquity? Studies that are conducted during the Stone Age. Do you understand? Basically, this forms massive criteria for our evidence, how we build our evidence. And I think that those are actually some of the key parameters there. And here we need to provide a comprehensive search string in the appendix. So let us examine our study. This is it, okay? We have our search strategy showing the number of hits. So when we hit it on PubMed, Medline via Ovid, and Medline, Embase via Ovid, and all of that, we've got 4 446,007. But now you can see that what we didn't search Medline via Ovid. We only searched PubMed, Google Scholar, and Medline. So when the authors when the reviewers raised the concern about that, we sent in a rebuttal that these are the databases that we have access to. Strong rebuttal, and it went down for publication as well. So I think basically these are actually some of the parameters any newbie here want to have. And congratulations to you. You will now understand how to do a systematic review. At least you know how to follow the PRISMA checklist. You now understand what the PRISMA checklist flowchart means. So what it means is that what we are doing at Centicini is that we are not just we're not just performing systematic reviews. We are also giving opportunities for what internships. But I'm going to talk about that in a short while after I'm done talking about the key takeaways, right? So what are some of the key takeaways? We need to start early. That's what I said before. You need to start early in your review process. And by starting early, it means what? You need to plan your PRISMA diagram from the beginning of your review. You need to say, tell us the databases where you're going to search, be meticulous, document essentially all the steps and the decisions rigorously, have a colleague review your diagram. That's why our director stressed about collaboration, okay? And in the course of time, we'll definitely learn a lot of things from our director, as well as our chief systematic reviewer in our team and other assistants that we've got. So helpful tools are the PRISMA diagram generators. These are some of the tools that we can use. We have the review manager. So basically, this was even what I was assigned for here. Okay, I was assigned to talk about the tools for systematic reviews. But if you're in our community, from time to time, I've been sending in some powerful AI tools that can help you automate your systematic review process much more faster. And essentially, what these tools does is that it makes your workflow very seamless. Okay. And yeah, it makes it quite seamless, and also adhering to the ethics, because the output is what getting those fundamental evidence and also high quality publications. You need to go for quality. Okay, beat your chest and say yes, you want to get the quality, because most times one of the limitations with some people is that they flaw in the process and they don't get it right. So there are ways where these tools can make it very easy, give you that ease in that process, and also have you get maximum quality out of what you're basically looking for. So on my own, we'll continue to push, make sure we provide us with some of these updated tools, guidelines, and definitely here we'll have our next webinar series for February. And yeah, of course, keep in touch once our management releases that. So that is that. So another thing I'm going to talk about now is some of the things we want to do at Centicini, our ideas, and before we take in some questions, because I'm sure there could be some questions. So we don't just want us to have like several series. We want to make sure we engage us with specific questions, that we collaborate together during a specified time period, work on these research questions, and come out of it with maximum publication. So we're coming up with our internship program, which is definitely going to be made open to the community and also out there, so that individuals get the opportunity to collaborate specifically for a particular duration of time, and because it is time bound. Okay, it's not an internship program that somebody enroll into and you stay there for a year. It's something that will keep you on your toes. If you're not performing, you'll be kicked out immediately. Okay, because we do kick people out. You might not even be informed, but you'll be out. And that is the sad truth. But then what it means is that you need to be on your toes and set clear targets, because your energy is going to be very infectious. Okay, if you're going to submit a lot of papers, we'll provide you with the necessary lectures. Okay, during that internship, we're going to provide with the necessary lectures, the course, also other updates and then give you the partners to collaborate with. And if you're not meeting up during that period, you'll be evicted from the house. And sadly, that's not what we really wish, because we want people to be productive, have the output, okay? That is what we are centered on. We're centered on making sure we put so much priority on output and efficiency and people generating the technical know-how to execute it. So I want to say a very big thank you to my moderator for giving me this opportunity to present. I'm quite very it's a pleasure for me to have the opportunity to talk to some of these brilliant minds. I also wish I also get some of the opportunity in the future, because for you to get started with the systematic review, the PRISMA is a very fundamental area that anybody will need to know. So it's quite imperative. It's crucial. It's pertinent. It is something that we'll say in clinical studies. We'll say it is on the first line of the treatment pathway for you to be injected with the virus of systematic review. So it's a very key tool, very helpful, like as well as others, for you to basically get your first publication for systematic review. So I just want to hand over to my moderator for giving me this opportunity to essentially interact with brilliant minds and get shit done. All of that. So thank you very much, man. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you.
People select to share the link.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for this insight. Teaching on PRISMA. Thank you so much. We're very grateful. So if anyone has a question or you have questions, you can raise your hand and you will be called up to speak. If you cannot speak, you can drop the question in the chat box. So we'll just give 5 minutes to questions. If you have any question, please you can identify now.
Only enter.
Mr. Confidence, please mute your mic if you're not speaking. Okay, does anyone have a question? Okay, thank you so much. Mr. John, you can speak now.
Oh, okay. Good evening. Thank you very much. I actually saw the link on our WhatsApp group. I didn't join from the beginning of the lecture, so I mixed some things. I think I just joined towards the end. But I had the speaker talk about joining the community internship and all that. So I wanted to find out how do someone participate or join the community and also get to the internship program, which he was also talking about. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. David, you can take it up from there. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So like we said, so earlier this year, our director of research announced that we are going to provide, we're going to be having our internship program. And our internship program is one that is going to be made available. The publication is going to be out. It's going to be I just want to talk a bit about it. I don't know if our director is here to address that question, if she's... but then let me just make highlights on that before she also throws more light there. So we announced that we are going to be having our internship, a kind of systematic review, 6 weeks internship, where participants are going to join specific groups on a specified research question. Now we have leads from our team who are going to be guiding you on specific topics. So what I mean now is that there are research questions that are going to be made open. So you get the opportunity to choose the one that is aligned to your interest. Take, for example, now we can have a research question thrown out around maybe machine learning. There could be another research question around infectious disease. There could be another one around pharmaceutical. There could be another one microbial. There could be another one on social sciences. So definitely we've tried to cover diverse areas. So when we get a publication, now our duty now is to join the research internship, right? And when you join, you're going to get our course, our systematic review course, which is going to guide you, brushing you up on the several domain. And then after you've gone through the course, then you'll be given opportunity to collaborate on that specific research question. Now, we're not talking about a platform where we come to train your systematic reviews. Now it's to put it in action. So we provide you with the arsenal to understand it, which is the course. Then after that, we can also we'll now provide you with the paid mentorship. So at the end of the internship program, certificates of completion for our systematic review internship is going to be issued to each of the participants that will stay till the end of the 6 weeks. So it means that it's going to be a very competitive program, which means once applications are rolled out, only the only people who show competitiveness is going to be taken. And during the course of the program, if there is any sluggish, or maybe if there is some kind of limitations that will impede on the progress, then of course it has to be treated immediately and addressed. So that is that. So I think the community manager will post our community link on the chat board, and also you can also drop your reactions about the training on the chat board. So we're going to paste the community link on the chat board so that we can join. And also as well, you can follow our social media handles. Definitely the updates is still going to be made there, Centicini team. And also, if you want to still explore catalog for our courses, we provide services around systematic reviews. We provide publication support. We have our research support team, where we also assist people in, editing and also coaching guidance on how to do systematic reviews. Our support number is also going to be dropped on the chat board while we are communicating. So those are actually our services. You can also check out our website, www.centicini.com. Our courses and all of that is all available there. So our internship program is going to be rolled out, and then of course the updates is going to be made, and then yeah. So I don't know if I answered that question.
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Okay, somebody asked the question, I should kindly clarify when a meta-analysis is necessary and when it's not possible. Okay, that's a very nice question. Now, when we talk about a meta-analysis, right? When we talk about the meta-analysis, now what a meta-analysis is all about now is, think of a meta-analysis as, let me just give a very simple explanation. Now, let's say, for example, I want to answer a research question like, what is the prevalence of, or what is the number of people that contacted COVID-19 in Nigeria? Now, if you look at that research question now is numerical, right? So it means that for us to answer that question, a meta-analysis is suitable when there is a quantitative estimate we are trying to pull from the evidence. Do you understand? So in that kind of question, what is the effect? What is the number? What is the proportion? What is the prevalence? What is the pooled prevalence? Essentially, what that is trying to answer is what? It means that we can pull statistical numbers from primary studies and now sum them together. Now, in that question, we can go to Jigawa, take the number of people that have COVID, go to Taraba, go to Onitsha, go to Abia State, go to Imo State, go to Lagos State, and then when we now join them together, we'll now get what we call an overall pooled effect. This is just like a layman's understanding of what a meta-analysis is. Now, in the contrast of that, if we are saying, okay, we want to get we want to know the behaviors of people towards injection in Nigeria. If you look at that question now, in that question now, we can't really extrapolate we can't really generalize from a statistical estimate. Essentially, what we can do from there now is that we can now say, okay, since there is variations now in measurement of behavior, one study can say, okay, how the behavior in Jigawa State is based on They use Likert scale, positive attitude, positive behavior, negative behavior. Another study in Taraba might say the behavior is scored from 0 to 1, and it's using statistical estimate to score the behavior of people towards COVID-19. And then another study in Nasarawa is saying that their behavior is on good, bad. No. Now, what do we have? We have what we call heterogeneous outcomes. There are heterogeneous measures. We call significant heterogeneity. So what do we mean by heterogeneity? When you say somebody is heterogeneous, what's your sexual type? Heterogeneous. It means that you're not just attracted to one, you're not attracted to the same sex. You're attracted to an opposite sex. So that's what we say heterogeneous studies. It means that there are differences in the outcome. There are differences in the measurement of what? Behavior. So that kind of research question now will not lead to a meta-analysis. It will lead to what we call what? Either it will lead to what we call a narrative synthesis, or in a case whereby there are so many qualitative themes around it, then it will lead to what we call what? A thematic synthesis. So those are actually some of the things that we need to do what? That we need to understand. So this is just how a meta-analysis differs from a what? From a systematic review. Now, but you could be conducting a systematic review, or let's say I want to know the intervention, effectiveness of social programs, or maybe food social programs. Maybe let's say, what kind of intervention are we looking at now? Because I want to do something in arts now. Let's say for someone I'm in social sciences, I want to do the interventions of education on results or tutorials, the effectiveness of systematic review tutorials on our educational outcomes. Essentially, what this means now is that based on this question now, how do I measure effect? I need to measure it quantitatively, right? Okay, the effect here is you attended, not attended. This person attended, not attended. Total number of people that attended and not attended is giving us what? 100. Okay, then how many people passed? 80 over here. Then we now have that the effect of this tutorial here now is 34.7%. It has a 34% increase in success, for example. That is statistical. So in the other studies too, when you go to Jigawa State, it still has a statistical estimate. When you go to Bauchi, it still has a statistical estimate. When you go to any other state, there are statistical estimates. So basically, what this implies now is that for us to, it means that it can lead to a meta-analysis because we have statistical outcomes in individual studies. So we can now pull them together and now say overall in Nigeria, the effect of education, the effect of systematic review tutorial on education is what? 64%. That's a good question. That's a good question. And that's a good design for you to properly execute your what? The systematic. That's a good design for you to engage in a meta-analysis. I think I'm going to answer that correctly there. So I don't know if I made sense in answering that question, Ms. Florence.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
All right, so thank you very much. Yeah, so I think I'm going to hand over to our moderator. I don't know if there's any other question. Our community link has been posted. Participants can join our community, and also we can also share our feedback on the training on the community. Please, it's quite very important so that we can actually know the areas that we are going to be taking. So I think I'm going to hand over to our director of research to also make our own input. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. David, for that totally insightful session. It's always a pleasure learning from you, and I'm sure that all our participants for tonight can say the same thing. All right, so all of you in this session, go over to LinkedIn, follow all our social media pages, our Instagram pages, our Facebook, LinkedIn, all our social media. Then join the community because we post updates there. We also post some lectures there too. You know, we prepare and post so you can learn with others if you're not there at the moment. So yeah, so go over to follow us on social media so you can be able to be up to date with all of our sessions for this because we have a lot in store for this year. So thank you very much, you all, for sticking around. Thank you, Lee. Thank you, the moderator. So I'm handing over to Rejoicing.
Okay, thank you so much for that insightful little talk. Okay, so I've posted our LinkedIn handle. So you could just click there and click on the link and follow us on LinkedIn. If you want to join the community, the link is also provided. So I don't know if anyone has any other thing to say, any question or any feedback. A minute or two. Sorry, Mr. or Mrs. Ali, can you elaborate on what you mean by no group picture? Okay, so thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you so much, because it's because of you we are here, and we appreciate you showing up, and we know of a truth that you got something. For me, I got something, and I know you did too. So thank you for joining. Thank you for joining, and we hope to see you in our next session by February. Thank you all, and God bless you. Thank you all. Thank you.
Kí leléyìí ayọ̀ látàárọ̀ kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀? Tí ó kò sí, ó yá pààyàn.